this one is not really an enum that we're making, but it's kind of like an enum. But yeah, I picked it for you for that reason. So, they say enum is an original syntax of TypeScript that doesn't exist in JavaScript. Yes, we know. I think actually, instead of talking through this, I think it's easier if we just look at the challenges and show what they actually amount to. So I think what is this? A2 here is the probably first good one. This is an edge case, I think, with an empty tuple. So operating system is just we created a JavaScript constant. Or const value. We could have just put it in here like this. It wouldn't matter, except that it's used in other later tests. That's the thing happening there. But you could think of this as just a regular string tuple. And then what we're expecting out is an object with every values matching up to those things in the tuple, read-only keys, and the keys themselves are capitalized. So I think it will be kosher to use the capitalize function in TypeScript, the built-in. I don't see we've already done that in a previous challenge. So if anyone wants to see how that's implemented from scratch, go look at that challenge. But yeah, Josh, what do you think? How would you go about this one?
This one seems reasonable. I think I would use kind of map type shenanigan where it would be like K in and then whatever the keys are. And actually, one of the surprising things about map types that a lot of people don't realize is you don't have to map over a generic. You can map over anything you want. We so have to almost always be over a generic. Mm-hmm. But just going over this one, if I have T here, then I would say like K in key of T, just to start it off, would be K, let's say. But then we also want to add a read only. Mm-hmm. And fun fact, you can actually I don't even think people need this, but you can do like minus question mark or plus question mark. I always thought that was kind of cute. But okay. So I'm just like scrolling up and looking through the test cases.
And I didn't. So I forgot to explain one of the. We can come back to it, but there's another function of this enum type, which is that it takes a second argument, which is a Boolean, and in the case where it takes so this is the difference between A4 and A5. In the case where it takes that second thing, we're going to pass in an index. So that's going to immediately, I guess I led you astray. It's much harder than it seems, but that fact means that we have to make a counter with temporary values in order to keep track of what index, like what number we're at. Would you mind it? Would you be offended at all if I just, we have a couple solutions we could talk through. Can I just show you one?
Sure, yeah, if you don't mind me not having the joy of creating three different
what would you do? Okay, so just forget about this second argument for a moment. Like, what would you do? What would you do next? Like, let's see, does...
I just realized it's a string array, so I don't need the key of. Mm-hmm. So...
I think you'd have to do this, right?
I'm just gonna...
Or no?
I'm going to copy and paste one of the examples down here so I can see them at the same time.
Good. Yeah, let's do that.
Name this to 2. Then let's get a 2/ there so I can actually see what's happening. All right. So what is that? I just want to see what is the type temp 2 equals this. I just want to see what that temp type is, because that is a read-only string array. So now I'm confused. Why is my A22 an empty object?
Did I mess something up here? Sorry. Were you meaning to do? You were meaning to do this. There we go.
Yes.
So you have to intersect with string.
So there's a way. I forget where K and T end string, right? Because it doesn't allow numbers, and now we have. Okay, and oh boy, now we're getting. X or K.
Yeah, I think these are
spooky.
These are particular. We're mapping the whole array here. I think so. We're hitting that map type, the like mapped types feature where you can map. You can use this kind of mapping structure over arrays, and it will still return an array. So I think we might. Can I just try? I think we might need to do TK here. That doesn't work. Oh, Does this work? If we do this?
Oh, you know what? I remember this. I got you.
Okay.
K in key of T as T of K. There you go. So we changed both the key and the value.
Okay.
To something. Oh God. Key of T and string. Okay. I don't got you. Actually, I'm wrong. But there's somewhere in here
something.
where
We're getting there.
It was close.
Okay.
I forget. I'm down to just look at
let's just take a look at it because we have a lot of examples to get through.
But
it's all good. So this is one that passes.
All right.
It's very similar. So it handles we weren't even talking. We would have gotten there, but we weren't even talking about the capitalization. Oh, this is probably what you were thinking of. T number.
That's what it is.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it's an array and you want to get each thing at the array
a union
elements.
of all the possible values in the tuple. Yeah, exactly. With number. This I think is super tricky. This is in the first one of the. This is in one of the easy challenges. It forces you to do this, and I think it's very hard to 4-dimensionally figure out how to do this. I was stunned when I saw this the first time. But then we were checking on n. We have 2 different behaviors we could take. The one that we were working towards is this one. So we were actually super close. We just needed that T number business. But anywho, one path is to do the index of path with the numbers. That's A5 and B5. And the other path is just to pass in the value outright, which is the kind of happy path, I would think. So then
we have to do a search, the index of. I would even, if I were writing this for quote unquote production code, if I were making a typefest style helper library, I might even split this enum into 2 things. Before the read only K and whatever map type, I would check if the n extends true, and then if it does, I would do number enum of the thing, and if it doesn't, I would do a string enum, and then only in the number enum would I refer to the fancy counting logic,
something like this.
But that's just me. Yeah, something like that. And then I think for efficiency, so it's hard to be efficient in the type system when you're doing these shenanigans. But I would maybe do a counter variable to build up an array or a tuple of a certain length, and then get the length and increase by 1 for each element. I don't know. I might try playing around with something like that. That way you don't have to do an index of search on each one. But also creating an array or tuple of a certain size in the type system is an O of n operation. So it might just be the same efficiency. I don't know.
That's a good point. I'm not sure what it would be. Let's look at another one, because I think this is what you just described is perhaps close to what one of them does, if I'm not mistaken. So this is Team Chong. He's a person that has solved all the challenges. There are only 5 of them out there in the world, believe it or not. Even though some of the first challenges have thousands of.
Wow. There are only 5 people who've solved all of these?
I think there are between 5 and 8. Yeah, as of, it's January 2023 right now. It's new challenges come up all the time, so it's kind of, you have to stay up with it. I would say there are probably 10 people or so who have solved 90% of them. I'm not one of them, because I don't think I've really solved any of them. I just look at solutions and try to understand what they have in common and putting videos together. But I'm definitely not high caliber enough to solve some of them. Some of them I think I'm just getting better at. But anyway, so Team Chong makes them, and he does that thing that you were talking about. He builds up a counter. And it's kind of done in line. If we look at where n is used, that doesn't help. So n is used at the end here, so that's a difference from what you were saying. But yeah, grabbing the values out and pushing them in with a counter, and then here we're doing, so this part is very similar to what we had before. It's just kind of all inlined, and it's using the tail call recursion thing, kind of recursing at this level. So, or at this level rather. What do you think about this one? Better, worse?
I like this a little more. Yeah, it's a little more. I mean, none of these are beginner. You have to know your type system stuff to understand these. This one is a little more so than the others. So at the cost of clarity, I think this is a little more clean of a solution.
Yeah, awesome. I like it. I like it a lot too. And then we've got one more. And another person that has solved many of the challenges, I think all of them, Yingsang Meta, they create a helper type. This merge thing just merges intersections together, like we were saying. Tuple to object number. So they kind of split the behavior of the two different ways of doing it. So this is exactly what you were suggesting. Tuple to object string is like, it handles that functionality in its own little helper, and then tuple to object number handles it in its own little world as well. And the recursion for this one, I think the first one is pretty straightforward because it's exactly what we were shooting towards. And then for the number one, what do you think about, I don't know, what do you think about this one?
I like this one the most, in part because it's what I was originally, top of mind thinking of doing, but also because I like how it splits them up. It's funny, programming areas tend to get their own kind of communal nomenclature that gets shared and might not be intuitive unless you know it, in which case it's very intuitive. Like the merge helper, this is what, the 5th, 10th time it's come up in a type challenge. And like that doesn't make sense on its own, but now I've already gotten to the point after seeing it like 2 or 3 times for myself, like, oh yeah, that's what merge does. It just, merges. Yeah,
right. Because here we have these two guys are, two things that are intersected together, and we have to, like, in the end, we have to come out with just one big long object, and that's the only way to do it. So yeah, it is funny. Like, I sometimes wonder if you saw, just like you said, if you saw merge on its own, you'd be like, who would ever want that type?
Yeah.
It does have
why
a
is
utility.
it merged? Like, why is that the name? What I'd also love to see is a slight extension to this challenge. I don't think it would make it much more difficult at all, of making it actually like enums and TypeScript, which have both key to value and value to key maps on the object. So like key 0 gives you whatever it was, the value that was the first. But like, that's not difficult to do, I think.
Yeah,
certainly not as difficult as
it
this.
Would be interesting. I don't think any of the challenges use actual enums. I could be wrong about that, but I can't think of one. There were so many. But yeah, it's interesting, and I agree with you. I think this is the best. This is the best solution. The cleanest to read anyway. You see the two different paths the thing takes. Cool. All right. Well, let's keep going then.
Yeah.